Deep within the heart of Jewish tradition lies a profound understanding that character is forged through the crucible of meaningful labor. We begin our journey by looking at the concept of Avodah, a word that uniquely bridges the gap between physical work and spiritual service. To the Jewish mind, work is not merely a means to an end, but a sanctified act that contributes to the repair of the world. This concept suggests that every task, no matter how small, carries a weight of cosmic significance. Parallel to Avodah is the principle of Tzedakah, often translated as charity, but more accurately defined as justice. Teaching a child about Tzedakah is the first step in helping them understand their responsibility to others. It moves the focus from the individual's needs to the collective well-being of the community. Parents begin this education early, often as soon as a child can grasp a coin in their small hand. This physical act of giving creates a neural pathway that links effort with the benefit of someone else. By involving children in the family's charitable decisions, they learn that money is a tool for change, not just a reward for desire. Hard work becomes the engine that powers this ability to give, creating a cycle of productivity and generosity. But how does a child learn to persevere when the task becomes difficult or the reward is not immediate? This is where the concept of early responsibility plays a pivotal role in the Jewish home. Children are often given mitzvah tasks, small duties that contribute to the household's functioning or ritual preparation. These tasks are not viewed as chores, but as honors that recognize the child's growing capabilities. When a child fails at a task, the tradition emphasizes the effort over the outcome. They are taught that the Yetzer Hara, or the impulse to give up, is something that can be mastered through discipline. The philosophy of Avodah teaches that the struggle itself is a form of worship. This reframes difficulty from a barrier into a necessary component of growth. Historically, the Jewish community has often had to rebuild from nothing, making resilience a survival trait. This collective history is shared with children through stories that highlight the value of persistence. They learn that their ancestors did not just survive, they thrived because they refused to quit. Responsibility is also taught through the study of the Talmud, which requires intense mental labor and focus. Analyzing these texts teaches children to think critically and to work through confusing problems systematically. It shows them that intellectual labor is just as demanding and rewarding as physical labor. By tying work to a higher purpose, Jewish education prevents the burnout that comes from aimless activity. A child who knows why they are working is much more likely to sustain their effort. In many households, the week culminates in the Sabbath, which provides a definitive boundary for work. This rest is not just a break, it is a celebration of the work that was accomplished during the previous 6 days. It teaches the child that work has a beginning, a middle, and a necessary conclusion. This rhythm of life installs a sense of balance that is crucial for long-term psychological health. Every Shabbat dinner becomes a moment to reflect on the week's challenges and the growth they provided. By analyzing the intersection of Tzedakah and Avodah, we see a blueprint for creating resilient individuals. It is a system that values the person not for what they own, but for what they contribute and how they persevere. These early lessons form an unbreakable foundation that can withstand the storms of later life. As the child grows, these concepts evolve into a sophisticated worldview that welcomes difficulty as an opportunity. The transition from childhood tasks to adult responsibilities is handled with care and ceremony. In the next chapter, we will look at the specific 5 pillars that turn these philosophies into daily practice. We will examine how historical narratives are used to build mental toughness in the face of modern comfort. But a question remains. Can these ancient methods survive in a world designed for instant gratification? To counter the modern rush for instant results, we must look at the first pillar, the sanctification of the process over the outcome. Jewish tradition teaches that the struggle inherent in learning a difficult text is where the true character is forged. This leads us to the second pillar, which involves the ritual of storytelling to normalize failure as a step toward mastery. Children are told of the great sages who did not find wisdom easily, but wrestled with every concept for years. By seeing their heroes struggle, the child learns that their own frustration is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of engagement. The third pillar is the integration of physical labor into the spiritual life of the family. Preparing for the Sabbath requires hours of coordinated effort, teaching that rest is earned through communal contribution. This brings us to the fourth pillar, the concept of communal accountability, where every member's effort is vital. When a child sees their parents labor for the sake of the community, they internalize a duty that transcends self-interest. Finally, the fifth pillar is the celebration of small victories through consistent daily reflection. Each day's effort is recorded not as a burden, but as a brick in the foundation of their future self. These methods do not just survive the modern world, they provide the very anchor needed to navigate it. We see that the value of work is not measured by the wealth it generates, but by the strength it builds in the soul. By teaching children to embrace the difficult, we give them the keys to a life of true autonomy. The difficulties they face today are the training grounds for the leaders they will become tomorrow. Every struggle overcome is a victory for the generations that came before them and those yet to come. The home becomes a sanctuary of effort, where every drop of sweat is seen as a holy contribution. Through the constant repetition of these 5 pillars, resilience becomes a habit rather than a fleeting emotion. Parents are the primary architects of this environment, guiding with patience and unwavering consistency. There is a rhythm to this teaching that matches the natural cycles of life and the changing of seasons. We see the child beginning to understand that some things of value cannot be bought or downloaded. They realize that the greatest satisfaction comes from the internal knowledge of a job well done. The community reinforces this, as elders share their own stories of overcoming great odds. Every narrative shared adds a new layer of strength to the child's developing identity. The noise of the outside world fades as the internal voice of resilience grows louder. This is the legacy of a culture that has survived by turning every obstacle into a stepping stone. It is a gift passed from hand to hand, heart to heart, across the vast expanse of time. We must continue to protect this flame of effort in a world that seeks the path of least resistance. History shows us that those who learn to work hard are those who eventually shape the future. There are no shortcuts on the road to a meaningful life. The child who learns this early will never find themselves truly lost. Their hands are ready for the plow, their minds are ready for the text, and their hearts are ready for the world. We have explored the 5 pillars that sustain this ancient yet ever-relevant wisdom. From the sanctification of process to the celebration of daily effort, the path is clear. It is not an easy journey, but it is one that leads to the highest form of human dignity. As we conclude our exploration, let us remember that the work itself is the reward. The resilience of a people is found in the way they teach their children to face the storm with a smile. The cycle continues, as it has for thousands of years, through dedication and love. These lessons in hard work are the bedrock upon which a life of meaning is built. For in the heart of every difficulty lies the seed of a future strength that can never be taken away.